Thank you, Chairman Rogers. Director Patel, thank you for being here today. I'd like to also extend my thanks to your staff and the hardworking men and women of the FBI, and for restoring America's trust in the FBI. I'd like to commend your efforts to move FBI personnel into the field rather than into the Beltway, where their work can be the most impact. Let me start by shining a light on my district, Alabama's 5th Congressional District, which includes Huntsville, Alabama, and Redstone Arsenal. The FBI's presence at Redstone Arsenal dates back over 50 years to 1971. Currently, FBI Redstone seats over 2,000 personnel and includes personnel from 20 of the FBI's 30 sections. Time and again, North Alabama has answered the call to support the FBI with a second-to-none workforce, state-of-the-art facility, and plenty of room for cost-effective and responsible growth. Director Patel, a few weeks ago, you visited Redstone Arsenal in my hometown. Could you share with us what you saw while you were there and the impression the visit left with you?
What I saw while I was there was the best example of what I've seen when appropriators work with the Bureau to defend the nation. And I wish everybody would go down to Huntsville, Alabama. It is our premier experienced law enforcement capability center and training facility that the interagency only wishes they had. What we have down there in cyber, in long-range missile defense capabilities, nested there with NASA and the Department of Defense, and further programs, including our Terrorism Explosive Device Center, which the world relies on to stop bombs from going off, and so much more is down in Huntsville, Alabama. And the reason it's there is because appropriators were brilliant enough to provide a space outside of Washington, D.C., to take a geographic footprint and save money instead of rebuilding here in Washington, to do it for half the cost in Alabama. And that's why we're moving 500 FBI employees this year to Huntsville, because the technical expertise they possess, and we do not want to remove from the FBI, is nested in Huntsville and not Washington, D.C. And in order to train the future men and women of the FBI, the DHS, the DOD, and every other intelligence agency we have, they're already asking us, when do we get to go to Redstone? So I encourage everyone to go down there.
Director Patel, I applaud your commitment to making America safe again and returning the FBI to its core mission. We must continue to get our dedicated FBI agents back into the field and out of the Beltway to protect America. This is there's no better place to achieve this than Redstone Arsenal in Huntsville, Alabama. Huntsville provides the most cost-effective location, distinct partnership opportunities, a high quality of life for personnel, and a remarkable talent pool. Director Patel, could you expand on the plans for moving personnel and programs to Huntsville, as it's often called FBI HQ2? What are the timelines for executing this, and do you have the necessary resources to execute this move?
Taking those in reverse order, the short answer is no. So we've got the North Campus and the South Campus down there. North Campus largely constructed and filled. The South Campus has been, the land has been leveled and the plots have been mapped out. And in order to fill it, and in order to build buildings 3 and 4 and 5, as we call them, and the new training facilities that we and the appropriators have already looked into and approved, we're going to need another $160 million to accomplish that. And once those buildings are built in the next 3 years, we will move another 13, maybe it's 1,400 employees down to Huntsville, because again, we are not removing them out of Washington, D.C. to remove them. We need a place that allows their skill set to be met, and it's not in Washington, D.C., and tragically, it's not in Quantico either. I wish it were, because then we wouldn't move them. But that's what we're looking to build is for the future. It also gives us a landing platform in a more centrally located area of the country for these specialized teams to deploy out into the rest of America when something goes boom or when there's a tragic accident. So I am asking the appropriators not only for the $145-ish million to finish the build, but the $60 million for the O&M to keep the facilities up.
With the great work occurring in Huntsville, I want to highlight the interagency collaboration between the FBI, ATF, DHS to address bombing incidents and the use of explosives. The FBI's Hazardous Device School, Terrorist Explosive Device Analytics Center, or TDAC, are located at Redstone. The ATF's National Center for Explosive Training and Research and the U.S. Bomb Data Center are also located in Huntsville. Likewise, DHS routinely collaborates with these partners, specifically their Office for Bombing Prevention. Director Patel, could you talk a little bit about the interagency efforts to address bombing incidents and the use of explosives?
Yes, I'll try to be brief. Just like with drone technology, our adversaries, when it comes to explosive devices, their technical capabilities have exponentially increased. And in order to keep up and stay ahead and not behind of the boom, what we have to do is train. And this is another point of training for Redstone Arsenal. Everyone that's qualified as a bomb technician in the FBI and the rest of the country gets that training at Huntsville, Alabama. And that's the reason we need these schools to exist. So to stay ahead of the fight, and these explosive devices that are being engineered in people's basements in places across the world, and they're being shipped here, we need to know how to shut those off before they explode, and that's what Redstone does.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Chairman, I yield back.